Hello, Dr. Eva Fisher. I am on to part 6 of my story about how I recovered from body dysmorphic disorder, also known as BDD. And I want to share that basically I now consider myself to be recovered from the disorder I have ever since I had that realization. I would say probably when I was in my later 30s. It took definitely a few years after I had gotten the symptoms under control using Prozac and talk therapy, and then moved beyond that to address some of my core negative beliefs that I had about myself as being fatally flawed. And once I came to realize some of the childhood trauma I experienced due to my kind of parents' unhappy marriage and some of the things my mother had told me, comparing myself to my father, once I was able to get that and put that in perspective and understand that I had a lot of negative core beliefs that just, weren't true. They had been based and formed during my childhood. And the BDD was kind of a band-aid on top of those negative core beliefs. Once I realized that I wasn't fatally flawed and I wasn't going to end up like my father, then I really felt like I had recovered from a serious mental health disorder, which is the body dysmorphic disorder. So people sometimes ask me, how do I know I'm recovered? Well, other than how I described, I no longer agonize about my appearance every day. And most of the time, I am at peace with how I look. My relationship with my body has improved. I now enjoy my physical self and appreciate what I can do with my body rather than only worrying about how it appears to other people. I also understand that my self-worth is not dependent upon how I look. My psychological treatment involved coming to terms with childhood fears of abandonment and loss of love. Now I recognize that my feelings about my appearance originate inside of me. That makes them manageable. There are still difficult times when I struggle with symptoms, and when I say that, I don't mean BDD symptoms. I simply mean sometimes when I look in the mirror, as I'm getting older, I'm in my 50s, as I'm recording this video. And yes, there are times when I'm not necessarily always happy with my appearance and seeing myself aging. And so I do have mirror management techniques that I use to keep my symptoms, to basically not let myself fall back into feeling bad about my appearance. And so basically, what I do is I still try to keep the lights dimmer when I'm getting ready for bed at night. So I don't have the bright lights when I'm kind of tired and worn out and, ready to get to sleep. That's when my energy is lowest, right before bed. So I just try to keep the lights dimmed so I'm not kind of seeing myself in the full glare of my bathroom lights. That's one of my techniques. And I'm also aware of how much time I spend, getting ready. I don't have a clock in my bathroom like I used to. When I was kind of still recovering, I would have a clock in my bathroom to make sure I didn't spend more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes staring at myself, because I used to like lose track of time when I had BDD and spend hours in front of the mirror. So, that was another technique I used. But for the most part, I do say I still dislike my profile, which is true. If I see myself from the side, I kind of feel like I have a ski slope nose, I will call it. But, I probably will never really be happy with how my nose turned out. But that's okay because I'm not my nose, and I know that. And I feel like there's so much more to me and to my self-worth and why, I can really appreciate who I am as a person, as a girlfriend, as a sister, as someone who loves her cat, as, college instructor, all the other things, as a runner, cyclist, just all the other things I have in my life that I enjoy doing that really has nothing to do with my looks. And that's what really forms the core of my self-identity now, rather than, just being dependent on how I happen to look that day when I look at myself in the mirror, which again, like anyone, some days I can like the way I look in the mirror. Other days Not so much. But that's okay, because that's not how I identify myself. And I'm not really that worried about it as I get older either. So as a result of my recovery from BDD, the quality of my life has improved dramatically. I now appreciate myself in ways that were impossible when I obsessed with hating my appearance. My life is focused on my family and friends, my relationship, and my passion for teaching college students and helping people with body dysmorphic disorder. I have moved from being a victim of this debilitating disorder to becoming an advocate for those seeking hope for recovery. The purpose of my dissertation, as I said, I received my PhD in communications in 2016, was on how individuals search for information, provide social support, and disclose personal experiences online about body dysmorphic disorder. I want to thank you for listening to this series of videos. I hope you found them hopeful and inspirational. Please check out more about my book and free BDD resources, including 3 support groups that I facilitate, as well as my Coping with BDD courses at feartocourage.com, BDD resources, or the BDD family. Thank you.